if I keep you in a constant state of poverty, if I can keep you distracted, if I can keep you that way, by the time you even get to a breaking point, you still won't go and talk to him. Because then at that point, it'll be a continuous cycle. See, that's what bondage is. You know what I'm saying? That's what people don't understand. That's what bondage is, because at that point, he gonna create this thing they call Stockholm syndrome. He gonna create it in the spiritual realm, though. Stockholm syndrome is most definitely what them folks experienced when they came out of Egypt. See, when they came out of Egypt, what they didn't see at some point, your abuser can treat you so well. Let me tell you something about the enemy. The enemy can treat you so well. By the time you trying to break free from all the things that you have started to look at wrong, all the things you saying wrong, all the ways and the moves that you making are wrong, all the people that you know you taking advantage of and getting over and manipulating, all the things that you doing wrong. Listen, by the time you say, you know what, I'm gonna go and do better, and then you try to start doing better, see, this is what people miss out. People miss the process of getting to a place of doing better. Your mind, that's why he said you got to renew your mind. See, a lot of people get to a breaking point, but when they get to the breaking point, they don't understand the process because it's too painful, because you don't want to see how it is. You're going to have to get to this new level of thinking, new ways of living. You don't want to experience that. So the minute you done did all of this wrong, because I did it. Listen to me. All my life, all I did was sell dope. All I did was jack people. All I did was get over. That's all I did. So at the minute I'm saying, you know what, look, you know what, we most definitely got to do something different. At that point, I got to look in the mirror and say, I don't know nothing different. So at that point, what am I going to do? I'm going to stay in the abusive relationship just like a woman. It's so many women out here who done been in abusive relationships. I'm talking about black guys. I'm talking about I got beat up. I'm talking about drugs, do this, and then they get divorced. It's so many people telling them you should just leave. You should do that. Or you should save your money. You should do this and you should do that. And listen to me. What they do not understand is the psychological transformation that takes place in a person's spirit when they've been beat on that bad. Do you know how many women, beautiful women, I'm talking about gorgeous women, who are insecure because I'm going to tell you something about that enemy. That enemy will get in your mind. You can look in the mirror and know you drop dead gorgeous. But that abuser that's been with you for years, who done told you, ain't nobody going to love you like me. Ain't nobody going to take care of you like me. Ain't nobody going to such and such. Listen to me. That abuser, that's what most people don't understand. See, the abuser is the person that you want the validation from. You, instead of all of these other people who telling you all of these great things about you, it's the abuser you need the approval from, because it was the abuser who broke you down. So when you look at the people, if you look at the children of Egypt, when they came out of Egypt, you got to even recognize, you got to understand that even though they was in bondage, even though they was in captivity, even though they was in slavery, going through what they were going through, you have to understand, but at some point, that he was somewhat taking care of them, which is the only take care that they knew. So at that point, when Moses saying, come on, I'm finna take y'all up out of here, even though they done seen the parting of the Red Sea. Do you know how many women have been in an abusive relationship and the Most High done dropped in with a blessing and parted the Red Sea for them, gave them the finances that they need, gave them a place if they needed to get away from the situation that they need. And even in that right there, it was that middle part of that process that they just couldn't bear on their mental, because they could still hear the voice. They can still hear they still gunshot. They still, you know what I'm saying? Do you and then they get to a place of the transformation is too hard. So I'd rather go back to what's familiar. Do you know how many men get out of prison and go through the same thing? See, in prison, this what happened right here. Prison, jail, juvie, whatever it is you want to call it. And this don't go for only people that was in there physically, because there's some people out who in the free world who in it mentally. So it's people who go to prison and they say, I ain't doing this no more. I ain't doing that no more. The reason they able to do that is because it ain't been put back in their face. And see, that's the same thing with people who say, I'm finna quit doing this and I'm finna quit doing that. It's easy to say that until you put back in the presence of it. A person can say, I ain't drinking alcohol no more, and really you coming off as running, because the only thing you doing is sitting in the house, and you know it. But if you know you get around your friends who like to drink socially, eventually you know you're going to have a drink. It's easy to say, oh, I'm finna quit smoking. But then when you go into an environment where you know you smell that smoke, yeah, and then you got, it's the same thing. So people who go to prison, listen to me, people who go to prison, you isolated. You isolate. So it's easy for you to say, I ain't going to do this and I did it. And guess what? By the time it will put in my face, I tried it again. But sometimes that touch that stove to see if it's still hot. You know what I'm saying? It ain't all bad. But going back to the Stockholm syndrome in the spiritual realm. Stockholm syndrome is when the person falls in love with their abuser. Listen what I'm saying. Stockholm syndrome is when a person falls in love with their abuser. And a lot of people don't realize they fell in love with the enemy. Let's even when it comes to the rap music, all of us. I'm talking to us right now. I'm talking to us right now. All of us know how detrimental the rap music is. We know how we know what they talking about. We know we want to get far from it. But listen to me, we fell in love with the music, how it make our body feel. We fall in love. Look, yeah. You in love with the poison. You keep drinking the poison. You can listen to it, know that you disagree with the message, but you can turn on something else and it just doesn't hit right. It don't make you feel the same way. So what do? You go back and listen to the mess. Listen, you go back and listen to the mess. That's a form of Stockholm syndrome in the spiritual realm. You know it's wrong. You know it don't feel right. What did Paul say? What did Paul say? Things that I'm supposed to do, I don't do. And all the things that I'm supposed to do, I do. I don't. Come on, bro. It's just that crazy. It's just that wild. And it's a lot of us in here right now. No, it's certain things you need to turn away from. It's just got a hold on you. It's just got a hold on you. Because really you in love with your abuser. You're in love with your abuser in so many shapes, form, and fashions. It just don't make sense. And to come out of that, I'm glad you just said that. You said that's why we're supposed to die daily. Listen, the scriptures say they worship me with their mouth, but their hearts is far from me. Listen, what I'm finna tell you. They worship me with their mouth, he said, but their hearts are far from me. What's up, Yellow? They worship me with their mouth, but their hearts are far from me. It's too many of us. Let's talk about the power of the spirit. Let's talk about, because we know that the spirit gonna dominate any evil in any time when we know. He said the flesh, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Listen what I'm finna say. It's over 300 of us in here right now. If all of us are saying that we are believers, right? It's supposed he said where one or two are gathered, he said he in the midst. Right now we can use these numbers and we all standing in the grid. It's supposed to be power, don't it? See, that's the struggle that a lot of people have. Let's have an honest moment right here. Let's have an honest moment, because I don't believe in being fake. I don't believe in sugarcoating nothing either. Let's have an honest moment right here, because we can get on here and quote the scripture all day, but just because you can quote the scriptures, that does not mean that you have experienced the power in the spiritual realm. Just because you can get on here and quote a scripture and you said that you prayed and you did a good deed, that don't mean that you done experienced a real encounter with the Most High. Let's have a real moment right here, because what you don't understand is that the Most High sitting high and looking low, and faking it is something that he can see as well. You know what to say because they taught you to say it that way. You know how to make it look because they taught you to make it look that way. You know how to flake. They basically done taught you how to fake and fraud. And the truth of the matter is, you've never seen the scripture come to life in your life ever. Ever. You have a couple of things you can say, yeah, that worked out for me. Yeah, that worked out. But it's different when you've had like what I like to call an unmistakable encounter with the King. Because I'm going to tell you something, whether anything ever go right in your life again, when you've had that one encounter, it doesn't matter if your life go downhill for the rest of it. It doesn't matter, because that one experience is going to trump everything. All you got to do is go to John. When you look at John the Baptist, listen to what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to get back to what I I was saying. When you look at John the Baptist, man, the man had a highlight moment. The man got to baptize the king himself, seen the dove descend and heard the voice of the king say, "This is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased." Couple of whatever after that, man, he ended up in prison, finna get beheaded. And even when he sent for the message, he came back and they basically told him, "You still finna get your head cut off." But one thing for sure, two things for certain. Yeshua gave him the reassurance of, go back and tell him that the blind see, that the lame walk. See, it's a lot of us who ain't had that unmistakable encounter, because what we want, what most of us want in the fleshly realm is, we want the unmistakable encounter to come with a continuation of elevation. And it does not necessarily mean that. It's people sitting in prison right now who've had an unmistakable encounter, and the Most High still done told them, you got to spend the rest of your life in prison. It's people who fell on their deathbed, ended up having a stroke, had an unmistakable encounter, and he told them, you still gonna be paralyzed for the rest of your life. It's some people who done had an unmistakable encounter with the king, and their mama is sick with a disease, and even though you may have the power of healing, but to your mama he's saying, I can't heal that sickness because I'm going to use that for something else to come to my glory. She's going to have the sickness. Most of us think that when you have the encounter, everything is supposed to be smooth sailing. And that's just not the case. That's just not the case. And see, most of us don't want to go through. We don't want to look at it from that angle. What we want to do is we want to come to the king and we want the whole life to be okay. No ifs, and no bumps, no bumps in the road, no none of that. And that's just not how it goes. That's just not. And a lot of us ain't willing to suffer on that level. A lot of us not willing to listen. A lot of us not willing to suffer on that level. It's when you go to one of the fruits of the spirit is long suffering. A lot of us don't want to go through the long suffering. We want the love, the joy, the peace, the gentleness, and the kindness. You don't want the long suffering, because it's going to be moments when you ain't going to understand. It's not even going to look like he there. Do me a favor real quick. Double tap the screen. Pop, pop. Double tap the screen. And if you ain't already following me, listen to me. Hit the follow button. I'm going to get back to the point that I was making. It's a lot of people right now who can quote the scripture and they know that's what to say, but they scared to say. Listen what I'm saying. They scared to say, and not knowing that it's freedom, and telling the Most High, I don't know. I don't know if I ever heard you. I don't know if, I don't know. A lot of people don't want to do that because it's scary. And it's not saying that you don't believe. It's not saying that you saying that he does not exist. It's you coming to a place of saying, I really just don't know. I really just don't know, because I know plenty of people back in my hometown right now. I'm talking about they've been going to the same church for 20 years. And listen to me, one thing for sure, two things for certain. If you've had an encounter with the king, you know those who haven't. Listen, and you can say what you want. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. If you sitting up under some teaching for 20 years, listen what I'm going to tell you. If you sitting up under teaching for 20 years and nothing in your life has changed, nothing? You sitting up on the teaching for 20 years and nothing in your life has changed. Only thing done changed is you done got better at keeping secrets. That's it. You don't tell nobody your problems because you want to get up here and lie about the goodness of the Most High that you've never encountered. You want to get up here and tell these people, yeah, I got, but you don't want to tell these folks what's really going on in your life, because people think that they only supposed to spread all the good reports all the time when it comes to the king. That is not what's going on all the time. And people just don't want to admit that. People just don't want to admit that. And then here go another thing that's running in your spiritual bloodline that you don't want to admit. You don't want to admit you've been deceived. You don't want to admit you've been lied to. It's hard for you to it's hard for you to even look in the mirror and say, you know what they've been teaching me ain't even the truth. You don't want to do it because that's hard. It's hard on you because that's a part of your bondage. It's a part of your captivity. It's that yoke that's on you. Going back to that spiritual Stockholm syndrome. You know why you can't say you lied. Because it's so deeply rooted down within you. You thinking if you say it out loud, you done something wrong. Then your pastor finna get on to you. Your first lady, your deacon, you done started saying things and this and that, and then you don't have tough enough skin to go against what's been killing you the whole time. You ain't got tough enough skin for it, because you're gonna get all the calls of why you say that, and you should pray about it, and that devil trying to deceive you, and you're gonna have so many people in your ear that you're gonna drown out what it is that your spirit told you. No. I'm telling you, I'm trying to set you free. I'm trying to set you free. Cause them folk gonna keep sitting up under there and listening to that and getting these hopeful messages, just getting them through the day, just gonna get them to tomorrow, and it ain't gonna get them into the pearly gates, because they gonna get up here and they gonna say, well, I did this in your name and I did that in your name, and he said he gonna look them dead in the face. He gonna say, I never knew you. But people will quote that scripture to their advantage, and the truth of the matter is, if you sit there and have win. But that's what we got to come to. That's what we got to come to. It need to come to a place of where everybody stand up on at church on Sunday and ask their pastor, why we still coming to church on Sunday? And people will say that this stuff is not important. It is important. It is important. It is important. Anything that's got something to do with knowledge and walking in the truth is important. Quit letting them folks tell you that stuff ain't important. Ask them folks, hey, pal, is it true? And a lot of pastors will admit this. Is it true that they changed the day from Saturday to Sunday? Get what they gonna say? Yep. Is it true that the holidays is pagan and we still say? Get what? If he gonna be honest, he gonna say, yep. Is it true that the real name? Yep. Is it true? He gonna say, well, all that stuff doesn't matter. But you will say we shouldn't lie. Listen to how easy this stuff is. You saying we shouldn't lie though, right? We shouldn't lie to each other. Ain't that a lie? Is it not a lie? That's considered a lie, ain't it? That's just crazy to me. That's just crazy to me. It's okay. No, it ain't. That's a lie, Pastor. But yeah. It says, study to show thyself approved. Do the research. Do the research on paganism. Do the research on holiness. Do the research. Do the research. I don't even know why they ask what's wrong with the day. It's crazy. Listen, you ain't got to do nothing to read Genesis. The Most High himself told you. Listen, it's saying in the scripture. Why you asking me for? It's in there, black and white. It's in there. Watch this, and I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna get ready to roll. This some of y'all pastors' favorite scripture to quote. What he say? When my people, y'all know where I'm going with this, right? Listen overtake. Watch it. The scripture when they say, when my people who seek my face turn from their wicked ways, then I'll heal the land. Listen. That's a lot of people's favorite scripture. Ain't it? Y'all know what I'm talking about, don't you? When my people seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I'll heal the land. Going back to the woman who asked about the day. That's a part of it. If I misquoted it, you know what scripture I'm talking about, though, don't you? That's a part of turning from your wicked ways. He said, let the Most High be the truth and every man be a lie. He said, don't follow the traditions of man. Listen, it's in the scripture. But we want to come together saying we ushering in the spirit, saying there's supposed to be some power in there. And the truth of the matter is you still in the you in the bondage that they brought us over in this wicked land. We still in it. You go to a church. You go to a church that's got what they call it that nonprofit, that 401c. Ain't that what they call it? What is it? A 401c? Or what? No, that's the retirement. What's the nonprofit? What's the nonprofit? A 501c3. You go to these churches with 501c3s. Go look up what a 501c3 is. A 501c. Go look up what that is in the government. Go look up what it is. They can control the church and tell them what they cannot say. If that's the case, then you tell me where the power of the Most High is. Because you go through it. Go look and see in the scripture where they could put a muzzle on any prophet of the king. You couldn't. Go look up what the 501c is. Go look up, and then get what they'll say. Well, we got to use things to get around, and then this and that, and this, just like you using all that time money to get around stuff too, ain't you? Yeah. Because all that time money that you got, if you're using it right, I promise you don't need no 501c. You don't need no 501c. If you using all that money like you supposed, I guarantee you don't need no 501. Because on top of the tithing and the 501, I don't even know why you're in here asking for money. That's crazy. That's just crazy. Come on, man. Come on, bro. But let me go back to it real quick. He said, when my people, first thing you need to research is who his people is. Because but listen, and I'm gonna say this in the best way I can. We know throughout the entire word, that the Most High called his people a specific thing. We know he carried a specific group of people. We know that. It's in the Bible. Listen, we know the names of the different nations. If you want to go deeper into your research, you can see who the different nations are to this day. He carried the children of Israel. Listen to how simple and basic this is I'm about to explain. And it's people who will argue what I'm about to say. And you can show them in the word. When he said when Abraham and Sarah was going to produce the promised seed, right? Isaac, bloodline, Jacob, and all that right there, right? Listen, Israel, we can go and see that it was 12 tribes that made up Israel. It's basic math. We can go and look and see it's 12 tribes that made up Israel, who throughout the entire scripture he called his people. Was he calling the Canaanites his people? Was he calling the Moabites his people? Was he calling the Cushites his people? Listen, this is basic stuff. Some of the same people who were holding the children of Israel in bondage, was he calling the ones who was holding the children of Israel in bondage his people? Moses himself, when he went to Pharaoh, what did he say to Pharaoh? Let his people. Who was his people? So when you go to the scripture and he say, when my people, just stop right there and research who was the Most High's people. That's all you got to do. And then I want you to remember that scripture next time you sitting in a congregation and it's mixed with people who are not his people. And you tell me how you sit in a service and worship and quote this scripture and say you're about to pray this powerful prayer when he said, my people. When you got the other people mixed in today. And a lot of people will say, well, that ain't right. This, and that, and this. It's the scripture. It's get what they're going to say. This is spiritual Israel. That's what they're going to say. Well, we're spiritual Israel. Huh? I didn't say this. Listen, let me clarify. I didn't say that certain people couldn't get saved. Never said that. I can back that up with the word too. But when they quote that scripture in the Old Testament, when he said, my people, who is he talking to? After that, you ain't got to do nothing but go to the curses, Deuteronomy. When you go to the curses and blessings in Deuteronomy, it'll show you that that description does not fit every nationality on this earth. It just does not. It's certain people who did not experience what the curses and blessings describe in Deuteronomy. So when they sitting in there and they saying, we're going to become the head and not the tail. We're going to be above and not beneath. And they get to doing all that hooping and hollering. And then you see people in there that wasn't his people who are clapping and hollering. That does not describe you. That does not describe what you went through. You didn't go through the slavery. You didn't go through the pain. You didn't. What you hooping and hollering for? But see, people don't want to quote it like it, but it's in the scripture. It's in the scripture. So when he say my people, we talking about. I'm going back to the Stockholm, the spiritual Stockholm syndrome. Us who are in love with the ratchetness, us who are in love with the violence and the crime. Us who in love with these designers who we know come from slave owners. We can research it and find it. I got a post on my page right now. Louis Vuitton, all them folks. Listen, you can show somebody in black, Miri, all that. This stuff derived from slave owners, like literally. And we wear this stuff with a badge of honor as if it's giving us some kind of validation. Do you know what I mean? Listen, I don't even want to go into even when you go to the J's. And I wear some J's, right? But even when you go to the J's, go look up who created the Jordan. Listen, man, listen. But we going to the Stockholm, the spiritual Stockholm syndrome. We in love with these things. And just like when the Messiah was here, he preached and showed these people the error in their ways and in their thinking. And for some reason, they still couldn't turn away from it because that's what captivity is, especially in the spiritual realm. You can show people, right? You can show us right here, people of color. We can sit at the round table right now, and we'll have a great discussion about change and who we really are, and walk away and drink the same poison that we said we weren't gonna drink no more. Like literally, like it's crazy. But let me show you. Going back to the scripture again. Go back to the curses and blessings in Deuteronomy. It's still going to show you who you are in the scripture and why that is. But hey, I'm not going to go back and forth with you. Double tap the screen if you ain't already following me. You can hit that follow button. And that's the word right there. That's the word. And some of y'all will be back at church next Sunday and y'all will say, man, Joe T was on there. I'm still going to go to church and go get that word. I ain't tell you not to go get the word. I ain't tell you not to go get the word. I bet you ain't got enough heart to go ask your pastor why he preaching on Sunday. I bet you that. Bet you that. I bet you that. You're going to get kicked out. You're going to get kicked out. Go on up and call them problems in there. He said, the blind lead the blind. They're going to do what? They ain't even trying to get you to fall in there no more. They just trying not to get you to see it's a way out.